Okay, we're going to talk with our tech expert, Professor Kevin Curran, because the National Crime Agency has warned parents to not publicly post images of their children online due to the increase of AI-generated abuse images. The organisation has released fresh guidance for parents, such as reviewing their privacy settings or making a close friends group for parents who are keen to share images. This must be really worrying for parents, Kevin, given that it's second nature for people now to share images of their children online, especially for birthdays and holidays and special occasions.
It should be because, ultimately AI has changed a lot of the tech landscape. And, this is just one instance really that obviously the National Crime Agency and the Internet Watch Foundation have come together here, and they basically said that these AI nudification tools are advancing rapidly, and that these child sexual abuse material videos, again, that there was in 2024 there was 13, and then last year there was 3,400. So that's a dramatic increase.
That is incredible, isn't it? And the big threat here is AI and what it can do.
It is indeed that, when we post to social media, you're giving that company control of that image, and it's not even the company itself, whoever they are, Meta, you generally, whatever they can want to do with that for the future, but it's that all these images can be trolled. And then, of course, that pedophiles, of course, can grab these images and then use these apps again to, to turn them into naked images, really. So, and again, that in other words, we have no control over third parties like these people scraping these images as well. So, ultimately, we've entered a new era where really the warning now is for parents really to consider other avenues. And, personally, I haven't shared anything personal on social media, and I never will again. It's been 5 years, and the last one was more or less a tribute to someone who passed away, belonged to me, and I think that's one of the few good use cases actually for posting something on social media, is in tribute to someone who passed away. Otherwise, I believe that the model I would advise anyone to use is WhatsApp family groups. Or even if it's not a family, it's whatever group you're in, to keep your images within these, private groups. That there is there's very little reason to post anything online publicly. I know that.
Yeah, but then you'd have someone like, say, your sister posting you a photograph within the group of a child at a birthday party, and then, someone who's also in the group sticking it up on Facebook without asking because they didn't think about it, and then all of a sudden that photograph is up on Facebook and the parent had no idea. So, it must be very difficult for parents because they can try their very best, but at the end of the day, you're kind of relying on the discretion of your friends and family as well.
Very much. And again, I suppose we're starting here that, society moves on, and, these now are kind of new guidelines that we're recommending that people do use, again, just to consider, and to go back. Consider, first of all, whether you need to post anything of young people online, because, again, that, your children may not thank you in the future, and many will not, actually. I've seen that myself personally, and it's not as if, I've been perfect. I mean, I did all the sharing years ago, and then I stopped because I realized my two sons were way more private than I was, and then I went back and deleted, So you can also lock down your privacy settings online. You can use close friends. So you can do that, but that's you got to be a very disciplined person, because what if you add new friends, and which part are they in?
Right.
As well. So again, but that's one thing you can do. If you want to post on social media, then you can just try to select it as close friends, or, friend of friends, rather than public.
Maybe we should go back to those instant cameras, where you just print out the photographs and send the printouts to people that you wanted to have them.
It is, because there are amazing tools out there. Look at, I have a party piece I can do. I can walk into any group and I can say, look at, I can tell who you are, to a group of strangers. Generally, 9 times out of 10, I get it right, because there's a service I've used online, and it can reverse anyone's image, anyone's face, and it just finds any image they've ever posted online or has been online about them, even from Facebook, from LinkedIn, everywhere else. And I get all the details up, and and of course they are amazed. But again, in other words, the images remain. So again, just to consider, you're not just putting it onto Meta there, but that image will remain forever, and it just is. It's archived again, and again, unless your kid is a supermodel, they could be in a state that they will not, again, thank you for years to come, and they could be teased about it, whatever else, and others. So again, just to consider, again, just whatever you're posting about someone who is underage, again, and even your friend, is proper etiquette as well, not to go on a night out. And young people actually know this, people over 18, to post something about your friends, again, because you might get them in compromising situations and it might not look the best. And that's not fair.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the young people are much more au fait with the etiquette around sharing online than people in our generation.
Very much. That took a lot of us by surprise. I look at my son and his peer group, and they're in their early 20s, and you think these guys will be putting up embarrassing photos. No way. And they also have it, if their pictures on Instagram or whatever, generally it's Instagram, do not get enough likes, they are taken down. they are deleted, because it's such an embarrassment for a lot of them if they don't have tons of likes behind them as well. But they are much more mature than we give them credit for when we entered into this era 20 years ago, that they actually know the dangers and the embarrassments that can be had.
Yeah. And of course they're thinking of future jobs as well, especially if they're in their early 20s going into their first jobs after uni. They don't want to have this history that their future employers can look up.
No, rightly so. Again, and I know we're Snapchat in some ways, even though there's worries about it, but they disappear in images again. And of course they're in their groups as well, so we're not seeing them. Like Snapchat is not crawled the way that Facebook or Meta, the other ones would be. But again, that disappearing messages are quite good for that, or images as well.
Another story that's caught our attention here with the team was that Ford are rehiring human engineers because it failed AI checks, quality checks. That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
It is. We're seeing that quite a lot. I mean, there is so much hype, and there was particularly so much hype around AI that people kind of lost their marbles, and we're expecting the bubble to crash, any day now. It's not that AI doesn't have incredible potential. Anyone who really uses it a lot, we're just amazed and gobsmacked. But it turns out that the real world is much messier than the geeks. And I include myself there, actually, we thought it would just take over the world by now nearly, but the real world is a lot messier. And the analogy I give is, but again, if 30 years ago someone told you can get a bread maker and it's for 20 quid and you can bake your own bread and all that, and you think, oh my goodness, oh yeah, we'll all be making our own bread in the future. And it turns out that no, we still go and buy our bread, that it's easier just to go down and buy the bread for the sake of the price, really.
Yes.
The real world is so much more messier, that AI can do incredible things, but it'll take a lot longer for it to roll out and to replace all the jobs that we're seeing. And again, that there is a threat to a lot of the jobs again, because a lot of the knowledge work is really, AI can do a marvelous job on there. But also, again, there is cost there, the tokens. I mean, I use AI a lot, but I'm paying for it because of the tasks, and it all adds up again. And of course, the major companies, again, the people behind like Facebook, Meta, have put hundreds of billions into this as well. And again, actually, the price of our laptops and hard drives and everything have actually gone up a lot. It's quite frustrating for us, because the giants, again, the Metas and the Googles and all them, they've more or less bought all the RAM, the memory chips which are needed around the world, and that's really increased the price for us. But again, that a lot of this data center rollout that they have, that kind of capability that they've built, that we think it may not be needed, because it turns out that running AI on local machines actually is becoming quite powerful, and a lot of the Chinese models, again, are freer. But companies are finding that they kind of got swept away there at the end of last year, when a lot of the new models came out and the capabilities, and they were kind of fooled by
Right.
the capability, because when it comes to the real world, there's so many processes in between that it's not as easy for the AI to just take over a job that someone has been doing for 20 years.
Exactly. I mean, just think of all that experience that's gone into these veteran quality inspectors, which have been rehired by Ford to make up for the pitfalls of AI. And there's nothing that can compare to a lifetime of experience and all the variables that went into that. And it seems ludicrous to me for a machine to try and copy that. The human brain is just not copyable.
Not as much, and even Meta let the people behind Facebook again, let a lot of their employees go, but they also kind of put recording software on their computers again to record everything that the employees do. In other words, to try to capture everything they do so that they can take their jobs, for instance. So there's a lot of that going on as well. But again, it's not as if the AI comes free. A lot of you got to pay a lot when it comes to using it. Actually, if you do it for any in-depth work, it really does pay. In other words, that it definitely is not free at the moment.
No. And do you expect that it will become free in the future?
Good. Yeah. Well, anyone who tries to predict the future has got a fool. It's. Look at there's no doubt any one of us is using AI. The breakthroughs have been incredible. And we kind of know the ending, that a lot of knowledge work will get wiped out. It's just the timeline. I don't know how long that will take. It really is a difficult question. But one thing is that that a lot of people were too quick to think that it could do everything, and it'll just take a lot longer. And which is a real relief, because I must admit that back in January I spent a few nights with the night of the dark soul staring at the ceiling when I realized what AI was doing for me on a daily basis, and then I was extrapolating into the future. And it really was. It was heartaching, because I could just see the end. But now, thank goodness, we have a bit more time than I initially thought, and obviously others as well.
Right. Well, thanks so much, Kevin, for your expert opinion, as always, on the Mark Patterson Show. We really appreciate it.